Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another reading mythology with Daniel. Today we're getting into the story about Daedalus, the architect. So we're going to learn about him, and then this is going to be the last story of this part, and then we're going to roll into some more other parts of the story, and of the book, I should say. We're done with this part, so we're going to move more into the, think bigger stories. But anyway, as normal, we'll go through and look and then talk about it, what I see. But all right. Daedalus was the architect who had contrived the labyrinth for the Minotaur in Crete, and who showed Ariadne how Theseus could escape from it. Then King Minos learned that the Athenians had found their way out. He was convinced that they could have done so if Daedalus had helped them. Accordingly, he imprisoned him and his son Icarus in a labyrinth. Certainly a proof that it was excellently devised, since not even the maker of it could discover the exit without a clue. But the great inventor was not at a loss, he told his son. And the two made 2 pairs of wings for them. They put them on, and just before they took flight, Daedalus warned Icarus to keep a middle course over the sea. If he flew too high, the sun might melt the glue and the wings drop off. However, as stories are so often show, what elders say, youth disregards. Isn't that the truth? As the two flew lightly and without effort away from Crete, and delight of this new and wonderful power went to the boy's head. Of course it did. But, I mean, they got to get hurt, I guess. He soared exceedingly up and up, paying no heed to his father's anguished commands. Then he fell. The wings had come off. He dropped into the sea, and the waters closed over him. The afflicted father flew safely to Sicily, where he was received kindly by the king. Minos was enraged at his escape, and determined to find him, he made a cunning plan. He had it proclaimed everywhere that a great reward would be given to whoever could pass a thread through an intricately spiraled shell. Wow. Daedalus told the Sicilian king that he could do it. He bored a small hole at the closed end of the shell, fastened a thread to an ant, introduced the ant into the hole, and then closed it. When the ant finally came out at the other end, the thread, of course, was running clear through all twists and turns. Only Daedalus would think of that, Minos said, and he came to Sicily to seize him, but the king refused to surrender him, and the contest, Minos was slain. That's great. Short but sweet. It's like I feel like that one was good. It's like the good guys won, I guess. All right. So next part is going to be the great heroes before the Trojan War. So we're going to get into that. Hopefully, I'm sure we're going to find some other incredibly difficult words to pronounce. So, which is cool. Look at this. Look at this table here. That's pretty cool, I think. It's cool. That gives you some reference material. It's really cool. I assume this one is, so these are all like fairy tale stories, but because we're talking about the gods, but I guess anything can be a fairy tale. Like these may very well be true, I guess. Okay. Oh, okay, so the first line says, this is about Perseus. This is a story on the level of the fairy story. Okay. The king of Argos had only one child, a daughter. I gotta look up this name. So, looking it up, I think the word is Danae, so we're going to use Danae as it. Okay. She was beautiful above all the other women of the land. But this was small comfort to the king for not having a son. Of course, he wanted an heir to his throne. He journeyed to Delphi to ask the god if there was any hope that someday he would be the father of a boy. The priestess told him no, and added that it was far worse. that his daughter would have a son who would kill him. Whew. Imagine that information. Like, great. What do you do with that? It's like knowing how you die or knowing when you die. It's like, what are you supposed to do with that? That's why it's good that we don't know that information. The only sure way to escape that fate was for the king to have Danae instantly put to death, taking no chances but seeing it to himself. This Acrisius would not do. His fatherly affection was not strong, as events proved, but his fear of the gods was. They visited with terrible punishment those who shed the blood of kindred. Acrisius did not dare to slay his daughter. Instead, he had a house built all of bronze and sunk underground, but which part of the roof opened to the sky so that light and air could come through. Here he shut her up and guarded her. So Danae endured, the beautiful to change the glad daylight for brass-bound walls. And in that chamber secret as the grave she lived as a prisoner. Yet to her came Zeus in the golden rain. The golden rain. That'd be a sight to see. As she sat there through the long days and hours with nothing to do, nothing to see except the clouds moving by overhead, a mysterious thing happened. A shower of gold fell from the sky and filled her chamber. How it was revealed to her that it was Zeus who had visited her, and in this shape we are not told, but she knew that the child she bore was his son. Oh, okie dokie. For a time she kept his birth secret from her father, but it became increasingly difficult to do so in the narrow limbs of that bronze house. And finally, one day, the little boy, his name was Perseus, was discovered by his grandfather. "You child!" Acrisius cried in great anger. "Who is his father?" But when Danae answered proudly, "Zeus," he would not believe her. Of course not. Why not? Why would he believe her? It's like, there's no way. Only one thing he was sure of, that the boy's life was in terrible danger to his own. He was not afraid to kill him for the same reason that had kept him from killing her. Fear of Zeus and the furies who pursue such murders. But if he could not kill them outright, he could put them in the way of tolerably certain death. He had a great chest made, and there two were placed in it. Then it was taken out to sea and cast into the water. In a strange boat, Danae sat with her little son. The daylight faded, and she was alone on the sea. When in the cavern chest the winds and waves struck fear into her heart, she put her arms, not without tears, round Perseus tenderly. She said, "O son, what grief is mine? But you sleep softly, little child, sunk deep in rest within your cheerless home, only a box, brass-bound. The night, the darkness visible, the scuttling waves so near to your soft curls, the shrill voice of the wind, you do not heed, nestled in your red cloak, fair little face. Though the night in the tossing chest, she listened to the waters that seemed always about to wash over them. Then dawn came, but with no comfort to her, for she could not see it. Neither could she see that all around her were islands rising high above the sea, many islands. All she knew that was presently a wave seemed to lift them and carry them swiftly on and then retreating, leaving them on something solid and motionless. They had made land. They were safe from the sea, but they were still in the chest and no way to get out. Fate willed it, or perhaps Zeus, who up to now had done little for his love and his child, that they should be discovered by a good man, a fisherman named Dicitus. He came upon the great box and broke it open and took the pitiful cargo home to his wife, who is as kind as he. So that's nice. It's nice of them. So they're getting protected by God, by Zeus. Like, it's obvious They could have died so many times, but they didn't. It's because Zeus was protecting them. Just wasn't there in person. They had no children, and they cared for Danae and Perseus as if they were their own. The two lived there for many years. Danae content to let her son follow the fisherman's humble trade out of harm's way. But in the end, more trouble came. Of course. And guys, looks like here comes some trouble. Here comes some trouble. Always got to be trouble. Can't ever just be peace. Can't be peace. Ever. It's like we're not allowed to have peace. We just got to always be chaos. We can't live without chaos for some reason. It's always got to be there. We can't just be happy with everything being peaceful. Wouldn't that be nice? It would be really nice. Just to no fighting. It'd be really nice. Polydictes, the ruler of that little island, was the brother of Dictys. But he was a cruel and ruthless man. Of course he was. He seems to have taken no notice of the mother and son for a long time. But at last, Danae attracted his attention. She was still radiantly beautiful, even though Perseus by now was full grown. And Polydictes fell in love with her. He wanted her, but he did not want her son. And he set himself to think out a way of getting rid of him. There were some fearsome monsters called Gorgons who lived on an island and were known far and wide because of their deadly power. Polydictes evidently talked to Perseus about them. He probably told him that he would rather have the head of one of them than anything else in the world. This seems practically certain from the plan he devised for killing Perseus. This violent man. He announced that he was about to be married, and he called his friends together for a celebration, including Perseus in the invitation. Each guest, as was customary, brought a gift for the bride-to-be, except Perseus alone. He had nothing he could give. He was young and proud and nearly mortified. Think. Yep. Excuse me. He stood up before them all and did exactly what the king had hoped he would do, declared that he would give him a present better than any there. He would go off and kill Medusa and bring back her head as his gift. Nothing could have suited the king better. No one in his senses would have made such a proposal. Medusa was one of the Gorgons. And they are three, the Gorgons, each with wings and snaky hair, most horrible to mortals, whom no man shall behold to draw again the breath of life. For some reason, that whoever looked at them was turned instantly into stone. It seemed that Perseus had been led by his angry pride into making an empty boast. No man unaided could kill Medusa. But Perseus was saved from his folly. Two great gods were watching over him. He took ship as soon as he left the king's hall, not daring to see his mother first and tell her what he intended. Of course not. She would have told him that he can't do this. This is a suicide mission. And he sailed to Greece to learn where the three monsters were found. He went to Delphi, but all the priestess would say was to bid him to seek the land where men eat not Demeter's golden grain, but only acorns. So he went to... I looked that up. So he went to Dodona in the land of oak trees, where the talking oaks were which declared Zeus's will, and where the silly, I gotta look that up.
One trick kisses.
Where the Selly lived, who made their bread from acorns. They could tell him, however, no more than this, that he was under the protection of the gods. They did not know where the Gorgons lived. Which makes, they're probably like, if we tell him and then he dies, then they're going to blame us. So let's not do this. Because that's what, I imagine that's what would happen. When and how Hermes and Athena came to his help is not told in any story. but he must have known despair before they did so. At last, however, as he wandered on, he met a strange and beautiful person. We know what he looked like from many a poem, a young man with the finest down upon his cheek when a youth is loveliest, carrying, as no other young man ever did, a wand of gold with wings at one end, wearing a winged hat too, and winged sandals. At sight of him, hope must have entered Perseus's heart, for he would know that this could be none other than Hermes, the guide and the giver of good. This radiant personage told him that before he attacked Medusa, he must first be properly equipped, and that what he needed was in the possession of the nymphs to the north. To find the nymphs' abode, they must go to the gray woman who alone could tell them the way. These women dwelt in a land where all was dim and shrouded in twilight. Now this is great. So you know they made a movie about this, but they could do so much more. They could remake this story into a movie. I bet it would do really well. If they had the right director, this would do really well. It's got gray ladies going on quests, and it's fantastic. Gonna go kill Medusa? It's like, could do that. That'd be great. Anyway. No ray of sun looked ever on that country, nor the moon by night. In that gray place, all three women lived, all gray themselves and withered as in extreme old age. They were strange creatures indeed, most of all because they had but one eye for the three of them, which was in their custom to take turns with it, each removing it from their forehead when she had it for a time and handing it to another. That's great. That's great. That's what you think of like witches and stuff, like these horribly like in the woods and the fairy tales. At least that's what I think. Like fairy tale witches are like these figured old ladies that are like casting wizard like magic on things. But they look like this, has one eye between all three. It's great. All this Hermes told Perseus, and he unfolded his plan. He would himself guide Perseus to them. Once there, Perseus must keep hidden until he saw one of them take the eye out of her forehead and pass it on. At that moment, when none of the three could see, he must rush forward and seize the eye and refuse to give it back until they told him how to reach the nymphs of the north. That's fantastic. He's got to take it. You can take their eyeball. Oh, man. He himself, Hermes said, would give him a sword to attack Medusa with, which could not be bent or broken by the Gorgon's scales, no matter how hard they were. This is a wonderful gift, no doubt, and yet of what use is a sword when the creature to be struck by it could turn the swordsman into stone before he was within striking distance? It's a great question. But another great deity was at hand to help. Of course there was. Athena looks like I gotta look it up. Dang it. Pallas Athena stood beside Perseus. She took off the shield of polished bronze which covered her breast and held it out to him. Look into this when you attack the Gorgon, she said. You will be able to see her in it as a mirror, and so avoid her deadly power. That's great. Now indeed Perseus had good reason to hope. The journey to the Twilight Land was long, over the stream of ocean and on to the very border of the Black Country where the Sumerians dwell. But Hermes was his guide, and he could not go astray. They found the gray woman at last, looking in the wavering light like gray birds, for they had the shape of swans, but their heads were human, and beneath their wings they had arms and hands. Perseus did just as Hermes had said. He held back until he saw one of them take out the eye out of the forehead. Then before she could give it to her sister, he snatched it out of her hand. It was a moment or two before the three realized they had lost it. Each thought one of the others had it. But Perseus spoke out and told them he had taken it and that it would be theirs again only when they showed him how to find the nymphs to the north. I think it's a good place to stop for today. Now, I think, personally, this is very cunning, but he didn't even like, this is not even perilous. It's not even perilous. Like he's going to get into trouble when he goes to Medusa, right? He's going to get into trouble because he's fighting this Gorgon. He's got snakes for hair. And he's got to get after her and slay this Gorgon. I mean, that's his thing. But getting there, he's got like 3 gods watching him, right? So it's like he's going to get there. It's going to be fine. He's going to be fine once he gets there. And I gave him every tool to succeed. All he has to do is not screw up. But I feel like, I mean, good for him. He's got that. Who doesn't want that help, right? Good for him. That's great. But I felt like it more perilous. Just a little bit more perilous. Anyway, thanks for showing up, guys. Have a good day. Thanks for seeing me, and I'll see you next time.